Hello and welcome to this new video. This is Robbie from Audiofire, and today I'm presenting you Sequitur Synth, the new little big brother of Sequitur. Why did we do Sequitur Synth? First of all, we were and still are very pleased with the way Sequitur turned out to be. The way we can create fantastic sounds using hybrid electronic and organic sound sources. Especially now that new expansions for Sequitur are coming out and we have organic modeled sounds and raw vintage sounds. But we felt the need to have an instrument with which we could create sounds from scratch, from pure waveforms, and still retain the functionality and the unique sequencer that Sequitur is known for. Therefore, we contacted Galbanum and asked if he could help us with this, and he gently provided the full architecture waveform collection, which is amazing. So we went through all 25,000 of them and chose the ones that we felt could work really well in this release. And the thing about these waveforms is that they are single cycle waveforms, so they don't really take any space in your drive. That's why Sequitur Synth is very light. And to overcome context limitation when it comes to map only one sound on the whole keyboard, we use the software to repeat these single cycle waveforms over the whole keyboard without any artifacts. And then we multi-sampled each single cycle waveform and turn them back into single cycle waveforms. So what you have now is the original quality of the architecture waveforms, but they are mapped into contact without any audible artifacts. So let's see what Sequitur Synth is about. If you take a look at the interface, you already notice that it's very similar to the original Sequitur. There are many videos in our channel in YouTube that explain how the original Sequitur works, especially things like the step sequencer and the unique features of ornament, stutter, and a randomizer, and etc. So please visit our channel and take a look at those videos, because when it comes to the step sequencer, Sequitur Synth exactly behaves the same way as Sequitur. The real difference is when we click on this button here, it says main, and we notice a big difference in the graphics. That's because Sequitur Synth is not using samples of vintage raw sounds or presets. Sequitur Synth is using waveforms, as I said before. So we can create sounds from a sine wave, from a saw wave, and so on. And so we built and scripted this synth inside this library, which uses two oscillators, one sub-oscillator, and one noise generator. The main page in Sequitur Synth is this one. We have a main page for Oscillator 1. We have a main page for Oscillator 2. We have pitch LFO and pitch envelope, filter LFO, filter envelope, amp envelope here, and the amp LFO over here. And when we select a pulse waveform, we have an additional LFO and envelope to control the pulse width. And this is for each oscillator. Plus, these LFOs and envelopes are individual and separated for each oscillator. So we have this bunch of envelopes and LFOs for oscillator 1, then we have the same quantity for oscillator 2, and then for the sub-oscillator and the noise type. So it's a lot of envelopes and LFOs. But a good thing is that by pressing this button over here, the group A, which is this one, the first oscillator, will end up controlling all the other ones. So it can also work more or less like a vintage synth, where you have just one LFO and maybe one or two envelopes that all the oscillators have to share. So let's take a closer look to the interface. We have 8 categories of waveforms. So if you go, for example, on the saw waveform, you'll find a pure saw wave. Okay, let's switch off for a second the sequencer. Then we have different kind of saw waves, like the saw iteration cosine, serial saw, and different ones. For each category of waveforms, we have 10 different versions. And with 2 oscillators, you're going to have a lot of combinations and to create your sounds. Also, we have a scripted unison function that can go up to 8 voices. So let's have a look at all the controls for each oscillator. In this main page, let's take a look at oscillator 1. Of course, you have the category menu, with which you can choose the type of waveform you want to use. You have your envelope. Let's turn down the reverb for a second. You have the amp LFO. Each LFO, the filter, the pitch, and the amp, and the pulse width can be controlled in an option page where you can sync it to your host. Now, for example, I'm syncing the volume LFO to 16th notes. Okay, then we have a filter. And you can select a different filter for each oscillator. And of course, we have the filter LFO. So let's just... We have the filter envelope. And this I button here inverts the envelope direction, which is best shown when we use in the pitch envelope, for example. And of course, we have the pitch LFO. Now the pitch LFO speed is synced to bar, but we can just put it to absolute, which means it's totally free. Now, let's explore all the categories of waveforms. We have saw, triangle, sine wave, square wave, and pulse wave. Then we have the unison category, which includes sounds created from unison single cycle waveforms. And we created that ultra saw that everybody is looking for. And different other types of unison. We have the unison pulse, the unison fractal saw, and so on. Okay, let's have a look at a few presets that we created. We have a few categories: cinematic, modern, and vintage. Let's start with cinematic. SEQui2R hosts a very unique step sequencer. You can create 8 different phrases per patch, and these phrases can contain a lot of different effects. For example, this patch is using random note generation, stutter, and ornament effects. And also you can switch to any other phrase whenever you want. Now I'm using the recall button, but you can use key switches to switch from one phrase to the next. And of course you can change notes. And of course, you don't have to use our preset phrases. You can create your own. We're going to do one right now. And then we can play it back straight away. I can also select a key that I like to play in. Like let's keep C major. And if I want, I can apply some special effects to each note. For example, I'm going to randomize this one. And also this one. So every time the step sequencer hits these steps, a kind of improvisation will happen. I can apply a stutter on this note, for example. And I can apply an ornament on this one by recording like 4 notes. A new thing in Sequitur Synth is that I can not only decide the range of these random notes, so the range of notes from which Sequitur will pick randomly notes, but I can also decide the direction. So Sequitur Synth can pick notes above and below the step to which the effect is applied, or just above or just below. Also, I can tell Sequitur to play just one single oscillator per step. So for example, in this step, just the B, oscillator B, it's going to play in this one just A. Save. And of course, it's got all the other goodies that the original Sequitur had, apart from one which is really an impossible thing in a synth, which is the reversible sound. And the reason is that it's kind of impossible to reverse the sound of a raw waveform such as a saw wave and achieve that characteristic sucking effect that you have when you reverse a sound that has a specific attack and decay recorded within the sample. So at this point, it would be a great idea to go and see all the other videos that explain in details how the original Sequitur works and all the features, especially the 1.2 update. So let's explore some other sounds. Now, in Sequitur Synth, the module is controlling the main filter of each oscillator. So in the middle position of the module, the filter will be exactly the way it was saved in each snapshot. Then, when we move it upwards or downwards, it will change accordingly. And this is because the filters of each oscillator might have been saved in different positions to achieve a specific sound. And because Sequitur Synth is using waveforms and envelopes and LFOs, we can create totally different sounds from the original Sequitur, including pads. Okay, let's listen to some other sounds. Now, for example, let's take this sound, which is a bellish sound. Let's just change anything we want. Like by pressing this button, all the parameter of the oscillator that is selected will be kept when we change the waveform. So let's change to so. So this is quite a different sound from the sound we started with, but we can go even further. Which is way different from the preset we started with. So let's have a look at the effects page. We have the usual delay, which is controllable and synced to your host. There is a choice of different convolution reverbs, which we chosen especially because they work really well with analog sounds. For example, we have this L480, which is very lush, but it also requires more CPU power compared to all the other convolutions. We have also less CPU demanding reverb, which is the factory contact digital reverb. We have a phaser. Chorus. In the options page, we have a few additions. We have an high pass filter, a stereo widener, and a saturation control. Now, there is this new arrow over here, which opens up a few more effects. We have a cabinet control. A rotator. A flanger. A compressor. This is the bus compressor of Contact. So let's see some more presets. Of course, we have 8 phrases that we already programmed for each preset, but you can go in and record your own phrases as I demonstrated before. And you can also just edit a little bit the phrases the way they are. And we can just keep all the parameters of the step sequencer and sounds and just change the waveform and see what happens. So I really hope you enjoyed this video of Sektor Synth, and please visit audiofire.com to have more info. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.